Houthi militia threatens to escalate and thrust the country into violence again. New report says that the United Nations agreed truce has improved access to humanitarian aid. The joint forces defend Houthi attack attempts on Hodeidah front. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Injil Zazi. The Houthi militia vowed to return to war and push the country into violence again. These statements were made by the head of what is called the Supreme Political Council, adding the militia would not accept the continuation of the state of no peace and no war. A new American report revealed that the UN agreed truce, which expired last October, has significantly improved access to humanitarian aid. Yet, as the truce was not extended due to the Houthi rejection, there are now real concerns over the deterioration of the humanitarian situation in the country. This report has more details.
The war in Yemen, which began in 2014, resulted in the world's worst humanitarian crisis. About 23.4 million people are in urgent need of humanitarian assistance. The conflict in Yemen led to the injury and killing of about 377,000 individuals from the widespread use of IEDs, landmines, and brutal shelling. However, in April 2022, the UN announced a 2-month ceasefire between the Houthi rebels and the government. The truce resulted in a significant decrease in violence and casualties, as well as increased economic opportunities and improved access to humanitarian aid. Unfortunately, the truce expired in October after both parties rejected an extension and expansion proposal. The failure to renew it put the country back in the non-ending cycle of violence, leaving millions of people vulnerable to starvation and death. The 6-month truce gave Yemenis a moment of relief from all the Houthi military operations. In addition, the truce resulted in the opening of Sana'a airport, which made it easier for humanitarian NGOs to import resources, reaching IDPs and people that need it most. At the same time, these organizations still faced some challenges due to increased violence against humanitarian staff. This still doesn't mean that there weren't any casualties during the truce period, as the parties did not cease completely. Yet, there was a significant reduction in violence, which led to a decline in displacement and a 60% decrease in civilian casualties. The truce did have some benefits, but it wasn't evenly spread among everyone in the country. Millions of civilians are now in danger of renewed fighting, as well as airstrikes, ground shelling, and missile attacks. Approximately 40% of Yemenis are currently food insecure. The escalation of economic competition among warring parties, as well as the worsening drought conditions caused by climate change, exacerbate this vulnerability. Humanitarian actors like Shelter Cluster estimate that about 54,000 displaced people and families need urgent support and shelter against the cold weather of winter. Also, Humanitarian Response Plan 2022, which sought $4.3 billion to assist 17.9 million Yemenis, was only 55.5% funded. According to UN OCHA, the lack of commitment from donors will lead to the starvation of millions of people. Humanitarian aid workers in Yemen continue to face constant challenges in reaching the people in need due to Houthis' interference in humanitarian operations and travel permit denials or delays. All these complications have forced aid organizations to limit or shut down critical funding programming. The truce did not completely halt military operations and the entry of humanitarian aid, but any step is better than no step at all.
The United Nations has accused the Houthis of hindering their efforts to study food insecurity in the country. It is not the first time the UN announces such a thing. The Houthis have been repeatedly named of blocking the UN aid workers, but no measures mentioned were taken. This report has more on this.
The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs was unable to assess the food situation of Yemenis living under Houthi control because of the restrictions imposed by the Iran-backed group. OCHA, however, noted that its new analysis on food security showed that the number of aid beneficiaries during the last 3 months of this year increased to 4 times that estimated figure in previous outlooks. The United Nations body added that 2 Houthi-run areas are facing the threat of famine, weeks after the United Nations affirmed that the majority of the obstacles encountered by the humanitarian work teams come from Houthi authorities. OCHA stated that the phased classification of food security was updated in 125 districts in the governorates, controlled by the internationally recognized government. OCHA officials have recommended the adoption of hypothetical analysis for areas controlled by the Houthis. They pointed out that the analysis that was conducted last February in 208 districts in Houthi-run areas was not updated. Moreover, the officials revised initial assumptions from the previous analysis. These factors were not factored in during the previous analysis. United Nations analysis indicated that the number of cases estimated in the previous report suggests that approximately 2.2 million children under the age of 5 suffer from malnutrition, including 538,000 suffering from acute malnutrition. Meanwhile, the report predicted that about 1.3 million pregnant and breastfeeding women would suffer from malnutrition. In Al-Mahra governorate, 9 regions are under the threat of a crisis. 8 neighborhoods in the city of Aden will move to the crisis stage to the emergency stage.
President Rashad Al-Alimi received a delegation of the European Parliament. In this context, the President called on the international community to classify the Houthi group as a terrorist organization. For its part, the European delegation affirmed its support for all efforts aimed at establishing peace and stability and alleviating the human suffering in Yemen. Foreign Minister Ahmed bin Mubarak discussed with the U.S. Ambassador Stephen Fagan latest developments in Yemen. Bin Mubarak stressed the need to take serious steps to deter Houthi militia from its continuous and systematic targeting of infrastructure. For his part, the U.S. Ambassador affirmed his country's support for the efforts made by the UN envoy to achieve peace in Yemen. The joint forces defend the Houthi attack in Hodeidah. The Houthi militia tried to infiltrate in haste, and their attempt were halted, and they sustained losses in lives and equipment.
أبي مات بشارع 40 دحين أنا أشقى على أسرتي مع باقي اللي أنا أصرف عليهم كل شيء. أنا اسمي أنس رصيد سيف عمري 12 سنة. أنا أشتغل بورشة حديد من الساعة 7 للساعة 6. أحيانا أسرع، أحيانا أقص، أحيانا أرنق، أحيانا أنقش، أي حاجة أنا أعمل. لا الساعة لما تدين الساعة 6 أوقف. أنا وقفت الدراسة عشان ما فيش أحد يشقى على أسرتي. أدرس إخواني الباقي. من أنا 4 وأنا الخامس. أحلم إني أفتح ورشة أبي وأشقى على أسرتي وأندي لهم مصاري. وأدرس أخوتي الآخر الجامعات وأطبخوا أي شيء.
An international organization announced the arrival of more than 67,000 African migrants to Yemen during the current year. The organization said in a statement that the matrix documented the daily arrival of migrants to the Yemeni coast. African migrants mostly take Yemen as a station on a dangerous journey towards the Gulf countries. The Executive Unit for Displaced Camps in Marib launched a distress call to save 81,000 displaced families. It added that 197 camps of the displaced people in the governorate suffer from cold in general. The deputy of Marib Governorate inaugurated the residential city in Marib, designated for displaced families with special needs. The official praised the project, which alleviates the suffering of many families, appreciating the valuable humanitarian interventions of brotherly Kuwait in the governorate. In Taiz, a social initiative was launched to build a new road to connect several villages. Taiz has been under Houthi siege for 5 years, a thing that aggravated the human suffering of the residents. This report has more on this.
The top and foothill of Al Marzouh and 5 hanging villages between them on the chest of Sabr mountain remain away from the hustle and bustle of life. The people of these villages live a primitive life. The narrow mountain stands are the roads they know and where they walk for long hours. The ultimate suffering has reached its climax, and establishing a road has become a dream for their lives.
The road means everything to us. We were deprived of education, reaching the clinic. Also, all the projects that we were deprived of due to the lack of having a road to deliver services and travel. Many of us died halfway the road, like a woman who died and we could not get her to the hospital to get a bag of blood.
The people here say that the determination of their men could demolish mountains. This is how a month ago a community-based initiative was announced using traditional tools to establish the Marzouh Road, which extends for more than 2,000 meters and serves more than 8,000 people. The people gather what remains of their forces, which were distressed by fatigue and suffering, in order to change their reality for the better, racing against time by working as one hive of bees. And this elderly woman joins them with a prayer from the roof of her nearby house.
We've been suffering from this road problem for a long time. 2 girls drowned in the flood because there were no bridges or a road.
Building a road through the mountain embodies the extreme of suffering experienced by the people and the importance of the success of this project.
This road will make many neighboring villages benefit from. We call on the charitable organizations and the authority to pay attention and look at us with an eye of mercy.
Even with the absence of the authorities, the people continue to build roads among ruin and corruption rampant in all parts of the country. On the other hand, every beginning has an end, and dreams will certainly come true with this effort and those arms that try to tame the rocks to pave the way of life and break the isolation of a number of villages.
Coming next in the news. Coal workers in Taiz struggle to make a living despite war and difficult weather.
أنا خارج ألعب جهة أصحابي وهو الرمو علينا إن إحنا لو الرمو قعلي أصحابي صاروا يداروا أصحاب المخيم بزين صاروا شايفين. صعب إنه معي شيء رقد أقضيش ألعب مع أصحابي أبقى داخل ألعب بالليل.
أصلا الولد ما قلب ما بده أي حاجة، ولما يشوف أصحابه يلعبوا وهما برجل واحدة يتعقد الولد على الحركات والزمام. هذا أثر علينا كلنا، الوالدة والوالد.
كنت قاعدة نروح المصيف، كنت ألعب كورة وأجري برجلي وألعب مع أصحابي، بعدين أبي صغير والآن ما أقضيش.
Welcome back. Coal workers in Mauza district continue to struggle with making a living, despite the war and difficult weather conditions. More details are within this report.
Many residents of Sarara spend days in Mauza, a district in Taz Governorate, in order to obtain firewood to produce charcoal, which is one of the most prominent professions in the area.
We go to cut woods. After a week, we bring the wood to here from the mountains and where it is burnt. After that, we stack some time offcuts over the charcoal. We then bury them and burn it.
It is a job done by the elderly people who are unable to go to other governorates for work. The process takes several stages, including cutting down trees, transporting them, and burning them in days before they are brought for the markets. Those working in the charcoal production profession at Mauza consider that the work in this profession is hard and difficult at a time when the returns from it do not bring much benefit in light of the high prices of basic and food materials.
This job is quite difficult. The return does not cover anything. To make 5 or more bags, I have to take a month to produce them. This does not cover any spending. We face many challenges in doing this job, such as weather conditions.
The price of a bag of charcoal is sold for an amount ranging between 2,000 and 3,000 riyals, which is an amount that does not match the amount of effort and time spent in preparing it. Amid the harsh winter frost and scorching sun, many workers in the profession of coal production burn their bodies amid wood sticks, which have become the only lifeline for them to escape from unemployment, while they are in an almost daily battle in search of a living through the charcoal, without regard for the risks as a result of this work.
The Houthi militia continues to brainwash the minds of school children in Ib Governorate through sectarian activities and events. Sources said that the Houthi militia used the educational facilities in Sadda district to raise their sectarian agenda under the allegations of the Martyrs' Day. A European center warned of the continued practices of the Houthi militia in deepening sectarian and regional divisions in various areas under their control and imposing rituals imported from Iran. The following report has more on this.
A European center warned of the continued practices of the Houthi terrorist militia in deepening sectarian division in the various areas under their control, and through imposing rituals imported from the Iranian Shiites. The report of the European Center for Foreign Relations indicated that the Houthi militia actively worked to transform and change the religious doctrine when it encouraged and imposed rituals and other signs imported from the Iranian Shiites. The report finds that the circle of dangers of the Houthi group is expanding ideologically, noting that it has expanded significantly since their political control of the Yemeni capital Sana'a in 2015. It considered that the changes made by the Houthi militia in the school curricula and the introduction of educational summer camps are main mechanism it uses for the purpose of recruiting volunteers into their military forces, including those under the age of 18. Multiple international reports stated that the Houthi militia took advantage of the summer camps to train tens of thousands of children with sectarian ideas, reinforcing hatred and revenge and absolute loyalty to its leader. The Houthi militia has spent tens of millions of riyals on opening a new cemetery for its dead fighters, at a time when millions of Yemenis are starving as a result of stopping the payment of salaries, the looting of revenues, the imposition of levies, and the insane rise in prices.
A new economic study revealed that the value of foreign investments that have left exceeded $1,519 million. In 2008, Yemen achieved the highest value of foreign investment, with an average of $1.5 billion, while foreign investment in Yemen were marked by a decline until they reached $134 million in 2013. Here's a reminder of the main headlines. Houthi militia threatens to escalate and thrust the country into violence again. New report says that the United Nations agreed truce has improved access to humanitarian aid. The joint forces defend Houthi attack attempts on Hodeidah front. This is the end of the news. It was Angel Zadi. Thank you for watching.